Welcome to our call today. I'm really excited about having you with us today. I think we have some exciting things to share with you, some new things that you're going to be learning that will help you take your business to a whole new level, things that we haven't talked about before, and some success stories about what others have been doing. I'm assuming that because you're on this line, you're one of our consultants that has been through our training. We haven't invited anybody else. These are all existing consultants. And it's good to touch base with you again. Some of you I haven't talked to for quite a while, and it's good to be able to have you on and be able to share a few ideas with you. So just so you'll know what's happening today, I have a special guest with us, Pete Mitchell, who's one of our top consultants, who's been really knocking it out of the ballpark with some new ideas and new strategies that he's been using to generate new customers and clients. Pete has an unusual way of describing what he likes to do. I think it's so good that I wanted to tell you what it is. He has two things that he likes to accomplish. The first one is, and he's not bashful about telling you this, he wants to make as much money as he can and work as little as he can. Now, I think that's probably one of the best ways to sum up what an ideal business is, and Pete's been able to say that and codify it in a few words, and he tells me that every time he gets a chance. And when we talk, which is probably daily or at least 3 times a week, Pete tells me, and sometimes more than that, Pete tells me, he says, I just found something else, something new that's going to make me even more money and work less. And so we talk about it, and we've been exchanging some ideas and putting him to work in his business and watching him just absolutely blow the doors off. Now, some of you who have been in our Facebook group have been watching what he's been doing and have asked me on several occasions, what is Pete doing that makes him so much money and gets him out there and in such a public way? Without very much cost, without very much time, very little energy, and very little work. So I'd like to just introduce you and bring him on. Pete, are you with us today?
I am, Martin, and thanks so much for that. I appreciate the nice words.
Well, they're just absolutely true. Pete, you're a real inspiration, and those of you who have been, those of us who have been following you, know exactly, or at least know somewhat about what you're doing. So I'd like to have you take just a minute and maybe give us a little bit of background, who you are, what your background is, what you're involved in, and then maybe we can get on to talking about some of the things that we have for the group today.
Sure. Yeah. I got started as a consultant prior to meeting you, Martin, as you know. And in going through your training, one of the things that I walked away with, and I've been back there 2 or maybe 3 times, I can't remember now how many times I've gone through your training. But for me, one of the biggest things that gave me was the confidence in the system to know that I could create money on demand. And that's really what I feel about the consulting world, is that I'm 100% not worried about if I lose clients, if someone dies on me, if someone gets mad and fires me, anything like that, because I know that I can go out there and create money on demand. I mean, that's really the beauty of the consulting business. As I told you, Martin, the only downside to the consulting business is I actually have to work. And like you pointed out, I'm really not a big fan of working. I've got to be one of the laziest people I know. You've heard me say it so many times. I just want to make money and really not have to do anything. And but I bring up the consulting background and what your training has done for a reason, Martin, because I know what we're going to talk about on today's call, and what I kind of see is the next step for a consultant, the evolution, if you will, of going from consulting to the next step. I love the consulting business because it provides me a base income, if you will. You know, I know right now that pretty much month in, month out, I'm going to have a base of 30 to 40,000 always coming in that I don't have to worry about. It's there. It allows me to pay my bills and do everything else I want to do. However, the downside is I have to work for that. And that really brought me around to the next step, if you will, the 2.0 version, which is what we're going to talk about. So I don't know how much you want me to get into that right now, but But that's just a little bit about me and a little bit about my background.
Well, thank you. Let me just go back just a step and talk about how you and I met. Actually, I was looking at doing some direct mail, and there's someone out there who has a program that he sells things that you could put in your letters. We call it lumpy mail or dimensional mail. So, for example, you might want to send out a letter with or maybe a magnifying glass on it, and it talks about if you really want to learn how to generate more business, you need to take a closer look or something like that. There's all kinds of things you could put in a letter that makes it lumpy, makes it stand out from the other mail, and makes you want to open the package or the letter. And as I was looking at his website, looking at some different ideas that I could use, I came across some testimonials. And one of those was by Pete Mitchell. And I read what he had to say, and I thought, this is really interesting. He's got some good things to say. So I picked up the phone and gave him a call and talked to him about some things that he was doing. And we just kind of hit it off at that point and just developed a really good relationship. And then we've been friends for a few years now just because of that connection. Now, one of the things I just want to mention about that, why I brought that up, first of all, I wanted to say how we met. The second thing is, if you will put testimonials on other people or send people testimonials and allow them to put them on their website, it's a way for other people to see who you are and what you're all about. Now, if you go to Ray Edwards' website, Ray Edwards is one of the top copywriters around. You look at his front page of his website, he's got my testimonial on there, and it's been on there for some time. Now, Ray and I haven't talked for a couple of years. Well, not a couple of years, probably 8 months or so. So it's been a while since he and I have talked, and we ran into each other at a seminar here a while back, but that's the first time we'd gotten together in quite a while. But he still has my testimonial on his website. Now, I get calls from time to time because I have something on there that talks about who I am and what I do and how Ray has helped me. So people will call me saying, hey, Martin, tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do and maybe how we can get together. So I get business off of testimonials on not only Ray's website, but other websites as well. So I just want to say that's one thing that you can do right now is when you see something that you like, something that makes sense to you, maybe a product that you purchased or maybe something that you've read, send them a testimonial. But in that testimonial, not only tell them how it's helped you, but tell a little bit about who you are. My name is so-and-so, and here's the kind of a business I have. And by using this particular product or service or maybe this suggestion or idea that I got from reading this, I was able to, and then to put in a result of what you have been able to do, and then put your contact information. And you just never know when somebody might call you or send you an email or contact you because of that testimonial. So just a little thought for you. I wanted to bring that back to relate it to back out how Pete and I met. But Pete, what I'd like to do maybe is just have you tell some of the things that you're doing right now. Now, you mentioned that you don't like to work and you like to make a lot of money, and I know you're doing several things. Your consulting business is giving you the base, and then you do some other things as well. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you set up your consulting practice and what you do in that practice, and then spin off and talk about some of the things that the time that the consulting practice gives you to be able to be involved in other projects.
Well, from a straight consulting standpoint, pretty much what I do is all my clients, I dedicate a half-hour call to them 3 times a month. So that way I've got 1 week a month that I don't need to worry about anything. I can go do whatever I want. And really the way that I describe it to people as to what I do is I'm kind of like the head coach, the owner is the quarterback, and their staff is their team. And so we get on the call and I go over, okay, here's the next thing that you need to do. Who on your team is going to be responsible for this? You've given us a form that we can use where, in these meetings we fill it out, we assign Jennifer. Jennifer is going to get this blog post written. Great. So when we get on the phone next week, did Jennifer get the blog post written? No, she didn't. Why? What was the problem? What do we need to do to fix this problem, whatever the problem might be? And outside of that half-hour call, for most of my clients, I might think about them during the week, maybe another half hour to an hour. It kind of depends on the client and what they've retained me for, but I try and stay away from the done-for-you consulting, which is how I think most people start, and certainly how I started, right, where We're thinking, why would someone hire me for my advice? They really want me to do stuff. And once I realized that just having the knowledge was enough, that freed me up and gave me the time. And so I can't honestly say, Martin, exactly how much time I spend per client, but I can tell you that it's not much, right? I mean, I've got one client who, it's a smaller client. I think they're only at a $2,500 a month retainer. And on the commission side, I get, anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 a month. And I am lucky if I spend an hour a month on them, because it really doesn't take much of anything. But what that allows me to do is, it all adds up, and I got enough money coming in every month that I can kind of focus on what I see as the future. And that is, and you know this, I run a lot of training programs. And typically speaking, I will do 6-week programs that are delivering some sort of transformational result to people. So as an example, one of the ones that we launched last year, we sell it for $3,000 for 6 weeks. I think we've had close to 300 people go through it at various price points. They weren't all at $3,000. But essentially the structure of it is this, Martin. I don't like to actually work. So the first time I did the 6-week course, I recorded it. Every time since then, which we've started it probably 2 or 3 times a month, every time we basically bring on new people, we start a new 6-week course. We're just playing the recordings, right? Like we tell them, all right, your call is Tuesdays at 10 a.m. And they get on the call at Tuesday at 10 a.m. and it's a recording. So I don't have to actually do any of that work. And the reason why I say it's the future is I love that kind of a business where I really don't have to do anything other than sell and then answer questions, which I can talk about a little bit later of how we do the question and answer portions of these trainings. But that's what we've been doing a lot of. I've got a couple in real estate that I do, one for detailers, and then one of the niches I'm in is a niche called church planners. It's a long story, but I work with church planners, and we've got a couple of different programs over there for those guys as well. But the key is that everything is automated, everything is systematized, literally from getting cold market prospects all the way through selling them on the program, getting them in the program. And really there's 2 points of contact for me. One is in some of the programs, I'll actually get on the phone and sell them. So if it's a $5,000 or higher program, then I usually get on the phone and sell them into the program. But I just have everything generate the call, right? The whole system, they're pre-sold by the time they get on the phone with me. They already know what the price is. They know what they're on there for. And they basically just need a little bit of hand-holding to make sure it's the right decision for them before they actually take the step and jump in. And then the other point of contact I have with people is basically answering their questions, which I got a whole system for how I handle their questions. So I don't know if that answers your question, Martin, but that's kind of what my world looks like today, the 2 main things that I got going on.
It did answer my question, but it also spurred a couple of other questions. You mentioned you have a 6-week transformational result, is what you call it. Would you explain what you mean by transformational result and how that differs maybe from something else that somebody might sell?
Well, if someone is just looking for training, there's a certain price that really you can't go above it, right? Unless you're offering the sheepskin and you've got the name Harvard going along with it, there's a price at which people are going to say, well, I'm not going to pay that much for training. So to get higher price points, it has to be something that's going to be transformational in their life. Like them going through this is going to be an amazing experience that on the other side, it totally changes their life. So as an example, I've got a guy who's in one of my programs, really cool guy. And one of his, he's actually done several different testimonial videos for me. And I think in all of them, he said, this has been life-changing for my family because of the freedom that it's given them, the time freedom, the money freedom. to be able to do the things that he likes to do and have that. So that's what I'm saying when I'm offering a transformational program, because, let's face it, it's the same amount of work, right, to sell a training program as it is to sell a transformational program. But I can make a lot more when I sell transformation. So I'm going to really pour my heart and soul into that and really show them, here's how you go from where you're at to where it is you want to go. That's the transformation that we're going to provide.
Okay, well, that brings up another point, because if you were to take, and I would ask people to do this, take out a piece of paper and a pen. I want to give you a little diagram for just a second, so I'll just wait a minute till you get that out. Now, on the left-hand side of the paper, about 3 inches in from the left-hand margin, draw a vertical line about 6 inches long. About 6 inches long, 3 inches in from the left-hand margin, and label that line where you say you are. And then on the right-hand side of the paper, draw another vertical line about 3 inches in from the right side of that paper, and write on that line, label that one where you say you want to go, or where you say you want to be. Now, what people are expecting you to do is take you from that left-hand line where you say you are, or where they say they are, to that right line. So just draw a line, an arrow across, and point it to the line on the right. They want you to take them from where they are, or where they say they are, to where they want to go. Now, that's what everybody expects. Now, let's think about this just for a minute. Between the left-hand margin and that left-hand line, about halfway, they draw another vertical line. So it splits the margin that you have, about 1.5 inches in. Draw another line and label that where you really are. Now, you see, most people won't tell you where they really are. If you ask a business owner how they're doing, many times they're not going to tell you how they're really doing. Or if you're in the marriage business, you're in the counseling business, they won't really tell you how bad their marriage is. Or if you're asking someone what their income is, they won't really tell you that they're flat out broke. They'll give you some of their answer. Most of the time, people won't tell you the real story. But what you've just done now, you want to find out where they really are. And that's a series of questions that are going to find that out. Now, on the right-hand side, between that right line that you have and the right margin, draw another line. So you split the difference of that margin. And label that one what their potential is. Now, what you really want to do is take a line and go from where they really are, not where they say they are, but where they really are, and take them over to not where they say they want to go, but what their potential is. Now, think about that for a minute. People will make a faster decision to close the gap on the left from where they really are to where they say they are. They want to get out of that pain point where they really are. And they want to get over to where they say they are. They want to get at least honest with themselves. They'll make a fast decision there. But on the other side, to take them from where they say they want to go to what their potential is, they'll pay more money to get there. So think about that just for a minute. When you're asking people where they are, they're not going to tell you generally where they truly are. You want to find that out. Once you find that out, you find out what the pain is, they'll pay more to get out of that pain than they will to get to where they say they want to go. But when you find out what the potential is and you explain to them, if you just take your business to where you say you want to go and you don't take it to where your potential is, you're going to be losing a lot of money. You're going to leave money on the table. You're going to leave customers out there for your competition to pick up and get. And what happens when they pick up that competition? When the competition picks up those people that you leave behind, those are your good customers that you're leaving behind, that you're not taking care of. So when you sit down and talk to a business owner, it's important to let them know, here's where you say you are, but here's where you really are. And by asking the right kinds of questions, you're going to uncover that and then show them what the potential is. When you do that now, you're going to take your business to a whole other level. And that's what I think you're talking about when you talk about transformation. There's one thing and one way to give instruction or information to someone, that's called giving them information, right? It's easy to give people information, but sometimes that information or education can just be information or can just be education. There's no transformational value. It's nice, it's interesting, it's nice to know, but what you really want to do is take somebody from where they really are to what the potential is. That changes their life. That's a transformation. to get them out of a pain point. And you could put this in another way, to get them out of the hell that they're living in and put them into the heaven that they really want to be in, to get them out of the pain that they're in and put them into an enjoyment type of a status. So that's what I think when we talk about transformation, that's an important concept. The other thing that you mentioned, Pete, that I thought was interesting, that you have 2 points of contact with your clients. So the first one is when you have to talk, when you have an opportunity to talk with them, to sell them into your program and explain what you do. And the second one is when you deliver. So most of us as consultants, and the thing we've been teaching for so many years, is that when you have your marketing out there and somebody contacts you, before you ever go out and you see somebody, you get on the phone and you talk to them, and you go through a pre-qualifying questionnaire to make sure that, number one, this business is the kind of a business I want to work with. It has potential to grow. It has potential for me to make money. It's the right kind of a person that I want to deal with. Their character is good. They sound like they might be fun. They might be serious about their business. I don't want to work with somebody who's not serious or not fun. They're the kind of business I think there's a potential in. Then once you qualify them or you pre-qualify them, then at that point you can go out and meet with them. But what I hear you saying is you're not necessarily going out and meeting with people. You're selling them on the phone because they already come to you pre-sold, pre-qualified, predisposed to do business with you. Can you explain a little bit about that process, how you get to that point so you really don't have to go out and talk with them?
Well, yeah, there's actually a lot that goes into that. So I'll give you the broad strokes. I do a lot of Facebook advertising. And so I run people through, for lack of a better term, my sales funnel, where I've run Facebook ads. They've raised their hand. They say, yeah, I'm interested in what you got. They get into my sales funnel at that point. And then I've got basically the whole thing automated to where I'm indoctrinating them, or as I like to call, romancing the prospect. And my end result from that is I want to get those people onto a webinar that, in my case, is an auto webinar. I've already recorded it. I know that it converts. It's a great converting webinar. And my call to action on that webinar is, okay, here's the program. I'll give you an example of one of them. Here's the program. It's $5,000. If you're interested, you and I need to have a talk. We need to talk on the phone to see if this is right for you. And you and I have even discussed, should I tell them the price on the webinar? Should I not tell them the price on the webinar? And the only reason why I tell them the price on the webinar is I'm lazy, right, which we've already talked about. And I don't really want to work that hard, and I really don't want to have a phone call with someone just to tell them the price and have them go, oh, that's too much, I can't afford it. Like, I already want them to know what the price is. I want them to know everything there is to know. Really, they're getting on the phone with me because they're just not quite sure, right? They need a little push, a little nudge, a little, this isn't a scam. This is a real deal, because they don't know who I am, right? They don't know me from Adam. I ran a Facebook ad to get in front of them. So, they maybe have been exposed to me by this point for 7 days. 7 days before that, they haven't even known who I am. That's probably the shortest of the sales cycle, if you will. Actually, I just did one last Friday. And when I went back and I use Infusionsoft, and I went back and I looked at his contact record in Infusionsoft, he hadn't even reached the third day of email, so he had only entered the sales funnel 3 days before that. But the whole thing has to be automated because I really don't want to work that much. I just want to show up, collect the money. I want to inspire, right? Because I love what I do. I love talking to people. I love telling them what they can do and showing them how to do these different strategies and how to implement things in their business and how to go to the next level. I do love all that stuff. It just has to be on my terms. It has to be easy for me and convenient for me. That's the main things that I'm after there.
Okay. Years ago, probably 35 years ago, I remember one of my friends, Joel Weldon, he's a professional speaker, he was selling his boat. And I saw the ad that he had, and he had several pictures of the boat, and he had all the service records, everything about the boat, all the problems that it had, everything that was good about the boat, how he had used the boat, how his family used the boat, and he had the price. And I told him, I said, Joel, why are you putting the price in here? You're going to cut down the number of calls you get. He said, that's the whole idea. I said, what do you mean? He said, I don't want to talk to a lot of people. I know I'll get more calls, but I don't want to talk to people who don't have the money. I don't want to talk to people who want to just waste my time and come out and look at the boat and then haggle about the price. I want somebody who's already seen the boat. They know everything about the boat, all the problems it's had, how we've used the boat, how my family's enjoyed it, how they can visualize using it themselves, and what the price is going to be. And then they can weigh whether or not this makes sense to them. And those are the only people I'm going to talk to. In other words, qualified prospects. And that's what you're saying, is you don't want to sit down and have a whole bunch of phone calls. Now, the way we set our business up is very similar to yours. What I do now is I run some ads. If somebody likes what they see, then they'll go on my calendar, my online calendar, and schedule a time. And that time then gets put on my calendar and gets put on their calendar. And then we get together at the time that they scheduled, and I'll call them and we'll talk. Now, when I'm talking to people, I just don't want to have my calendar, my whole day tied up with people who just don't have any money, who just aren't right for our program, or I have to sell, I have to get into a contest with. The days of selling, overcoming objections and ferreting out the problems and the challenges that they have and trying to overcome those things. And by the way, would you like that in red or blue, or going through that old alternative choice clothes and all that kind of things? That's 1970. I just want to talk to people who see what I have, understand what I have, like what I have, and then say, yes, I want to do it. Or they say, no thanks, this isn't for me. And you know what? Either way is okay with me. Because if they aren't right for me, I don't want to work with someone who is not right for me. And they certainly don't want to get into a program that isn't right for them. If I have to sell somebody into my program, then there's a degree of hesitation on their part where I had to try to convince them. And I don't want to deal with those kind of people. I only want people who say, I see it, I like it, I get it, and I want to move forward. Or not. And either way is okay. And I think that's what you're saying here. How do we set this program up, or your system up, to where it's automated? The leads come in, and they're qualified leads. Then you just talk to the people that you want to talk with, or who think that there might be a good fit for them, and price-wise is okay. All they need to do is just get the details, and then they can make up their own mind. It takes the sell out of the selling process. Now, I like that process that you have, but now there's one more touch point that you said you had. One is when you first talk to the person, to let them know and talk to them about how your system works for them, and the other part was the delivery part. Would you talk just a little bit about how you do that?
Yeah, so the key thing that I'm selling is, in most cases for me, it's a 6-week program, and that's really an arbitrary number. In fact, when I originally started it, it was 6 weeks because I offered a 30-day money-back guarantee, and I wanted the really good stuff in weeks 5 and 6, right, so they'd stay on. And then I went to a 60-day guarantee, so it didn't even matter, and now I'm just in the habit of 6 weeks. So I don't think that 6 is a magic number. I know you've got a 4-week program. I think that's just fine because most people really start to tune out about the 4th week anyway. So the number of weeks is irrelevant, except I just probably wouldn't go longer than 6 weeks or you'll really lose people. But the way that I deliver is everything for me has been pre-recorded. So all of these programs that I do, the 3 that we've got in real estate, the one that we've got for auto detailers, the 2 that we've got for church planners, they're all pre-recorded. So that's the first thing, right? Very first one we do, we record. And then it goes into our system. Like the line that everyone's calling into right now, Instant Teleseminars, our company, they allow you to schedule an audio that you want played back on your conference line. So we will basically put out the 6 weeks. We put in the audio, and let's say the audio is at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. Well, then 10 a.m. at Tuesday, Instant Teleseminar is going to automatically play the audio. So that's hands off for me. Then what I do, and it depends on the group. So in the real estate ones, we've got a lot of people who go through there at one time. And so we do a Q&A call once a week because we've got a lot of people who come through. So every time someone emails me a question, because part of what I sell is you've got unlimited email access to me, which really means it doesn't. It means like 3 or 4 questions a week. People just don't take advantage of it, which is fine for me. I love that, right? But I'll answer them via email, and then I'll save that for the end of the week, and I'll get on the call, and I'll go through all the questions that were asked. Anybody who's live on the line, I'll unmute them. They can ask their question and that kind of a thing. So that's for one that we do. We've got a lot of people coming through it. The other groups, my detailers, my church planners, we have a lot smaller people coming through at one time. And so we use an app called Voxer. And if you haven't used it, it's on your iPhone or Android or even web-based. They've got a free version, which is what most people use. I use the paid version, which is like, I don't know, $30 or $40 a year. It's no big deal. And what we've got is we've got a private chat group that I put everybody into. And what this private chat group allows us to do is, again, I like as little work as possible. So I actually really detest typing, and I don't like writing emails or blog posts. And that's the main reason that I use Voxer is I can literally just press a button, and it's essentially leaving a voicemail in the chat group that everyone in there can listen to. And then they will respond back to it. So as we go through the training, so as an example, when I'm doing the 6 weeks of training, what I tell everyone at the beginning of the call is, and by the way, guys, we've got this call muted because if we do interaction, we'll never get through all the material. I want you to write down your questions as we go throughout this call. If I don't answer your question by the end of the call, then at the end of the call, I want you to box it into the chat group because the odds are if you've got the question, so does someone else. And then all I got to do is wait for the questions to come in on the Voxer app, and then I just listen to them, and I respond right back by pressing a button. I don't have to type any emails out. I don't have to do anything. And of course, people who like to type, they can type into the chat group. I mean, they let you do a lot with Voxer. It's really cool. But that little thing, like especially with my church planner group, has taken on a life of its own. And the guys start talking to each other, and it really forms a community and a bond. And one of the things about being an entrepreneur that everyone on this call, I'm sure, recognizes is that being an entrepreneur can be really, really lonely. Right? There's not a lot of people who really understand you. When you're a consultant, it can be even more lonely because it's usually just you, maybe an assistant, and it's just you out there against the world kind of a thing. So to be able to have a group of people, kind of like how you do on the Facebook group, but just making it easier with the ability to just leave a voicemail and tell everyone, hey, this is what I got going on, or hey, this is a problem that I'm having with a client. Does anybody have any ideas for me? I mean, it really forms such a strong bond and such a strong community that now that's how we do everything. Everything from now, we're totally cutting out the Q&A calls, moving everything to Voxer because of the community that it forms. And it makes my life easy because, again, all I got to do is show up and listen. So, I'm actually on Voxer way too much, and I think as I go forward, I'll probably limit my time on Voxer till just the end of the day, review the day's messages and respond to them at that point. But it really just creates a really cool community. And that's part of what people are paying for when they come through a transformational program is the idea of community. One of the reasons, Martin, that I love going to seminars is because of the people that I meet there. Well, one of the drawbacks to online training is you don't get to meet anybody. But when you have this kind of a community, now they do get to meet each other. Now they do get to know each other. And we've seen several of the guys and several of the groups start pairing off and doing projects together. And it's been really cool to watch and to see that happen, all because we had that as another feature of the training.
That's great. Now, Pete, I want to just go back to one thing that you mentioned here, and that is your recorded calls, your teleconferences that you have on the 6-week program. Nobody knows those are recorded, do they?
I don't tell them. I don't lie to them and say that it's live. I just tell them the call is at a certain day and time, and I don't tell them that it's recorded. But
and then because it's muted, they don't have an opportunity to speak in, to break in and talk about it, so it's muted. So then when the call's over, you just hang up, and then if they have a response or have a question, then they can box that into you. So for all intents and purposes, I mean, they don't know whether it's recorded or live. They just assume it's live because that's when you told them the call was.
Yeah, and what I tell everyone, I tell them two things. I go, number one, the calls are lecture-only mode, and we do that because if we had Q&A, we would literally never get through the material, which is true. I mean, think about, you just about talk about anything, like anything that you and I have already talked about. If we had this whole line unmuted, I mean, right now I see that there's 20 people on the line. We have, somebody here from Australia. We'd have people like, well, what do you mean? What about that? How do you do this? And we'd never get through the material. And everyone understands that. So I tell them, we don't do any Q&A on there, but that's why I have you write down your questions and box them in, and I'll answer them at that time. And then I also tell them, by the way, if you can't make the call at Tuesday at 10 a.m., that's all right, because a couple hours later, I'm going to email you the recording. And I had one guy, because I told him for his class, like I've got another class starting next Wednesday at I think 4 o'clock or something like that. And I was like, hey, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. And he's like, oh, that's I got church right then, because that's 7 o'clock my time. I'll be doing church. And I go, hey, don't even worry about it, because it's all recorded. 2 hours later, you're going to get the recording, and you can listen to it then. And he's like, well, so there's nothing special if I'm on live. I'm like, no, there's nothing special if you're on live. I mean, because there isn't. It's the same audio, and I give it to him as a recording as well.
Okay, so I hope everybody's getting this, that how easy this is, and it's so automated that you can run this program over and over and over and over, and nobody ever knows whether it's live or recorded. You don't tell them one way or the other, but the assumption is, because you say here's when the call is going to be, that they want to be there because they think it's going to be a live call. But if they can't get it, 2 hours later they're going to get the recording of it. So now that goes on for 6 weeks. And you had an opportunity to talk with them back and forth through your Voxer thing, or maybe if you have emails going out to them or other content information, you can steer them to that either on a website or send it to them. But at the end of the 6 weeks, where do we go from here? Is the program over, or can we sell them into something else, or upsell them into something, or how do you work this?
Yeah, there's a couple of different things that we do, and basically on the 6-week programs, if it doesn't automatically come with a program afterwards, so like with my church planners, it does. It comes with mastermind groups that we do basically twice a month. Everyone hops on the phone or on a Google Hangout, and we do a mastermind group. If it doesn't come with that, like some of my real estate programs don't come with that, then usually starting in week 3 of the program, I start telling them about an ongoing coaching program that's coming up. So I'm going to start seeding that from week 3, and then we seed it again in week 4 and week 5. We really talk about it. Hey guys, this is what's coming up, and if you want this, you're going to have to join when I open the doors, because by the way, you can only come to that group if you've gone through this training. So there's always going to be that exclusion. You have to have gone through this to be eligible to go into that. So you can't come back at a later time. It's something you're going to have to do if you want to do it. You're going to have to do it right then. And then, of course, we've got a whole follow-up sequence. If they don't buy, what do we email them? But, again, all of this is automated, and we just set it up the one time, and it just automatically runs it, right? I don't have to think about it. I don't have to do it. It's just I collect the money and show up whenever I need to show up.
Okay, that's really brilliant what you've done there. And I want to talk about somebody else who has a program that's similar to this. I saw this a couple of years ago, and I got involved in it. It was very interesting. The first call was talking about how to do something. And actually what it was how to do teleseminars, just very much like what we're doing. And then it was a free call. And then on that call, now this was on the very first call, it was a live call, they sold another 5 weeks of training, another 5 weeks of calls. And every time, every week, they would go into a little bit more depth or detail about how to do teleseminars. So this call today would be an overview. Then in a week from now, they would do how do we target a market to get the right people on the call. Then the next one might be how to get them to show up for the call. Then the next one would be how to deliver the right kind of content for those people, and so on. That went on for 5 more weeks. Now, they charge $997 for the first one was free. If you wanted to get involved in the other 5 calls, that was $997. They recorded all the calls. So if you couldn't make one of the calls, they put them up on a website so you could go back and listen to them. And they also transcribed them so you could download it if you want to and just read it. Then at the end, they made those 6 calls. They transcribed each one of those. They made a workbook with them, or at least a book that had all the transcriptions in it. Plus they had all the calls. And they also had a private membership site that you could go to. And then if you bought it for the $997, you also got a ticket to come to their 3-day, $3,000 program for free. It was included. When they got you to the program, and they had several people at the program, 217 people came to the program. Out of those 217, they sold 27 into their $25,000 one-year program, coaching program, and 3 into the $100,000 program. All because they offered a free teleconference up front and then 5 more that you could buy into for $997. Now, what I want you to think about here is Pete is doing this program with a 6-week training, and he's charging $3,000, $1,500 to $3,000 for each person to be on this. What happens at the end of this time? Could they, if they complete this program, then be eligible to come to a 2-day training that he sits down with them and goes through their gives us some additional information that could help them grow their business. It might be a 2-day seminar, it might be a 3-day seminar, it could be your 4-week workshop where they get together every week for 4 weeks in a live workshop. It could be any number of things. But what Pete has just done here is outlined how to get people to come to you who are already pre-qualified, pre-sold, predisposed to do business with you. They're ready to go. And you sit down and talk with them on the phone for a little while, talk to them about what you have, answer a few questions about who they are, what they're up to, and where they would like to go. Let them know what you have, and then let them know how they can get involved if you want to. And then everything from that point on is automated. And at the end of that 6 weeks, he's already been seeding them, as he calls it, to let them know about an upcoming program they can become involved with. And that's how you can generate clients very, very quickly without any trouble at all. And what happens during that 6 weeks, you build a relationship with them, even though you haven't even been there with them. It's all recorded. So I'm not sure how you build a stronger relationship with someone. And then, by the way, you have Pete just answers their calls by Voxer individually. Now, this other person I was talking about, they would do the call on a Monday, and that would be a live call. And then on Thursday, they would have a live Q&A. So you could call in with your questions on that Thursday. So the idea was you get some ideas on Monday, and then you have a few days to work on them, and on Thursday you call in. We have a Q&A call. So all those were recorded also and put up on the website.
You know what? Let me bring up a point there, yeah. Martin. So like with one of my real estate groups, because we will have anywhere from 3 to 5 different groups going on all at the same time, I still only do 1 Q&A call a week. So everyone goes to the 1 Q&A call, right? So I don't care if
no matter what stage they're in during the, yeah.
Exactly. And I tell them all, like when we start the group, I'll say, hey, if you've never been to the Q&A call before, just so you know how it works, there's going to be people in here who are at different stages of the training. So if they ask a question that you don't even understand the question yet, just go ahead and make a mental note. So that way when you reach that point in the training, it'll make more sense to you because you've already heard someone else's question and my answer to it. And no one complains. I mean, I've got one guy who, like, even though in the Q&A calls, we only give it to them for the training, like if it's a 6-week training and they get Q&A calls for 6 weeks, we've never kicked anyone off. And we've told them, you know, we don't care if you come back on because I don't. I mean, what do I care? It's the same amount of time for me and same phone line. It's not going to cost me any more money to have one more person on there. But I've seen one guy, he keeps showing up for like the last 7-8 months, I think, is when he came through the program. And he still shows up every Friday and listens in. And I'm like, dude, you got to be getting sick of this. It's the same questions and answers every week. But, you know, some people just like it. So they keep coming back.
Great. Well, Pete, in the interest of time, I don't want to take this past an hour if we can help it here. We've got another 15 minutes or so to go, but we've reserved a room February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in Phoenix. And we're going to be putting together a small group, very small, because we have a conference room, a boardroom that we have at the hotel, which will only hold a handful of people. And for two reasons. Number one, that's all we could get right now at this time of year. Secondly, I want to keep this a very small group of people who are just really interested in learning what you've done and some of the other things that we've been doing to take your business to a whole new level. Now, what I'd like to do is would you describe kind of briefly, you've already kind of talked about this in general terms, but maybe the funnel or what you're going to be talking about at this program that we're going to put together.
Well, there's lots of different stages to this, and what we want you to walk away with is literally, you've got your stuff built out and you're ready to go. And so, I do this stuff not only in my own business, but I also take this now to my clients that I have the revenue share with, and we implement it for their businesses. So it's going to start with, first of all, obviously identifying your target market. And then how do we identify them, for instance, if we're going to use Facebook to generate leads? And then how do we get them to raise their hand and enter our sales funnel? And, of course, we do that with a specific type of education-based marketing or a consumer guide, but a specific a structure to the consumer guide, where we're going to basically get them at the end of that consumer guide to go, man, I've got to attend this webinar, if the webinar is what you're going to use as your trigger event, as I like.
Let me just stop you for a second here, Pete. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I guess I really do. I wouldn't be doing this. But the consumer guide that you have, I watched you put that thing together. I mean, just in a couple of hours, well, it's a bit more than that, but you sent it back to me. We worked on this together and looked at it, and I thought, my gosh, and I gave you a couple of ideas about putting some graphics and things in it to make it interesting, and you went to your graphic designer and said, could you put some graphics in here? And we bounced it back and forth, and man, when you look at what he's done, it's killer. It is really killer. When you look at this, you think, man, I've got to have what this guy is talking about. And that's what the whole idea is. I mean, it's nice to generate a lead. Anybody can generate leads, but to generate a lead that says, I need to have what you are selling. Right. I got to have this. You remember WWE when The Rock would stand up and he said, can you smell what The Rock's got cooking, or whatever it was that he said? You just said, I want to see what this guy's going to do. That's what this is all about. You get so excited about reading this because it says, it's speaking to me. This is something I want to know more about. I need to talk to this guy. So excuse me for interrupting, but I thought that
you're right.
The lead magnet you have that you just talked about, we call it a lead magnet, right? This consumer guide,
right.
Is to generate a lead that's a qualified lead that reads it, sees it, gets it, likes it, and says, I want to talk to this guy. That's the kind of person you want to talk to. So excuse me, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I wrote it on the way back from one of my trips. I think it was the one I was going out to Missouri, St. Louis, and I was like writing it back on the plane is when I wrote it. My webinar I wrote back on one of my flights, and part of it was because I do a lot of traveling, which I actually enjoy. Maybe because I got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they scream all the time. I love to travel. I'm like, sweet, I want to go, but that also limits how much money I can earn because I'm on the plane, I'm in a hotel, I'm speaking in front of one group one time, and there's a cap, right, on the income I can make from that. So I wanted the automated system. So we're going to go through, okay, here's how you run the Facebook ad, here's how you build that lead bait so that way it'll get people where you want them. Then the next step is we got to romance those prospects because if they don't join the webinar right away, we want to get them to join the webinar right away. So I call it romancing them. And we're going to romance them, and then we've got to actually have a webinar that converts. So it's not just a matter of putting together a webinar like so many people do, like I used to do, right, and not understanding the psychology that goes into every step of that, to where, like, I look at the webinar that I use specifically with church planners. I'm like, man, this is one of the best marketing pieces I've ever put together, and the numbers bear it out. Because I get 20% of the people that attend, they go through that whole thing, they get my close at the end, they know how much it costs, and these are guys who typically don't have very much money, which is kind of an ironic, thing, group of people to sell to. But I get them to say, you know what, I will pay you $5,000, and they get on the phone with me. And then, but there's a lot of different things that we're going to go into, because there's a lot of intricacies to this. Like, for instance, those of you who signed up for this call and you gave us your phone number, you got a text back from us. And then you got a text right before the call and, telling you, hey, call into this number. We do things like that to help push that along, to get people to actually attend, to get them to show up. One of the things that we do and again, it came about because I wasn't getting the responses that I wanted. So they've gone through, we've talked on the phone, they said they're going to join us. They were like, hey, I'm joining you, I'm going to come. Why haven't you come yet? Why haven't you ponied up, given me the money? What's the problem? So we've got a follow-up sequence for those folks that also includes what's called a fly dial, where all of a sudden they look at their phone, they got a voicemail from me. And, my voicemail was, hey, look, I've got 3 of my 5 spots filled. I just want to know if you're in, so I know if I should reserve a spot for you, if I should give it to someone else. I just sent you an email. You're going to have it. Go ahead and get reserved, or call me back. Let me know what's the next step. And without fail, I would say 80% of the people who get that slide dial call me back. And one of the first things they say is, hey, Pete, I must have missed your call. I don't even know how I missed it. But for me, it's like, I don't have time to call everyone. I need the whole thing automated, right? So I want it to automatically just call people, and so it does. Did I lose you?
Okay.
Are you still there, Martin?
Yeah. No, that's good. Everything is automated from the time that you run the ad all the way through till the time that you have to talk with them. As you have a funnel, it's already built out with all of the contacts. Like, for example, when somebody signed up for this call, it was the same process. They got reminders an hour before, 9 o'clock in the morning, an hour before, 15 minutes before the call. All that's set up automatically in your system. So you're going to explain that entire thing, that whole process on how that works and how you put it together. And when they walk out of there, they'll have that whole system set up. They'll also have, how about the webinar? A template for the webinar? What's happening there?
Template for the webinar, exactly, because we got to go through all the psychology of it so you understand. I mean, it's one thing, Martin, to have all the different pieces. It's another thing, sorry about my dog. It's another thing to have all the steps and understand the psychology of it so you're not screwing it up. Because, everyone wants to improve on it, right? And I say improve in quote marks, but you have to understand the psychology before you start to, quote unquote, improve on things.
All right, we'll have a sample webinar set up along with the templates, so you show exactly what goes in every single slot, what the how you set it up, what the call to action is, the entire process there, and then how to hook into an online calendar. What are the best choices or selections or options for an online calendar? And then after that, what happens when you call that person back? What are you going to say to them? We have an entire script, exactly word for word, exactly what to say, because here's what you want to do. I want to find out a little bit about who you are, about your background, about where you say you are right now, and where you want to go. And why is it important for you to go there? Why is it important for you to achieve that particular objective? What would happen if you were able to do that? What happens if you don't achieve that objection? What's that going to do to you? If you were to achieve that objective, what would that allow you to do that you can't do right now? So we're no longer selling training. We're no longer selling a seminar. We're no longer selling a consulting. What we're doing is selling a solution to the problem. What does it cost you if you don't take advantage of this? If you don't come on to this online program or come on to this teleseminar or come on to my consulting program. Now, we've been talking a lot about this 6-week program. It could be any number of things. We're going to talk about a number of different things. If you don't want to sell them into a 6-week teleconference program, fine. If you want to sell them into a live consulting training, we'll do that as well. If you want to sell them into a 4-week workshop where they all get together and meet with you each week for 4 weeks like we teach, we'll show you how to make that happen as well. The point is, you're going to have the start to finish from how to generate the leads, exactly what you do to generate the lead, what kind of a Facebook ad you're going to have, or we're going to have other kinds of things, not just Facebook, but other types of marketing systems in place. How do you get them into a webinar so that it's an automated presentation? Then if they like what they see, how they go to a telecom, or how they rather go to your online calendar, schedule a time, so you select the times that you have available. So now you can plan your day however you want it. And then when they register there, it goes automatically to your calendar and takes that time off of your calendar, or off of the availability, and now it places on your calendar so you know exactly who you have to talk to. You know, there's an application form. I'll show you how to make the application so that it further filters the people. Now, if you don't want to talk to the person because you've looked at their application and say, you know what, this person just isn't someone I want to work with, we'll have an email that you'll send out to them that says, you know what, thank you very much, but we've looked at your application and it just doesn't look like you're a good fit for us or the right fit for us. So here's some additional items that you might want to take a look at that can help you, but right now you're just not the right fit for us. Then when you get them on the call, what do you say to them? How do you close the situation to where they say, yes, I'd like to do that, or no, it's not right for me? And what do you say if that happens? And then how do you put them into the program that you have, show you exactly step by step how to do that, and then after that, what's the follow-up? How are you going to sell them into something else, whether it's a 4-week program or whether it's your another online training or teleseminar, or whether it's your individual consulting? So we've got other people that are using this system that are doing killer with it, just like what you're doing here, Pete. So is there anything else you'd like to share before we say where this is going to be and when it's going to be and the rest of the details?
No, I just like to say that this system, for me, has changed my life because I know with it, I'm basically, I'm almost at the point now where I'm hitting $25,000 a week in income without really having to do a lot. And I'm talking about on top of the retainer income and commission share that I get from the client side. So I'm just saying, I love this system, and if it's somewhere in your life you're like, that's the next step for me, then I would say this is the right move to make, is to come on out, because we're going to go through there and help you get everything in place so you can duplicate it for your business. And if it's not right for you right now, that's cool. Hopefully you still got some good ideas here that you can use.
Pete, I want to ask you, and I'm going to put you on the spot here. You haven't agreed to do this, but I'm just going to ask you. You told me the other day, at the end of the week, last week, how much money you were making from one client. Would you mind sharing that? You don't have to tell who it is or what the thing is.
Well, I added it up, and I'm pretty sure. Well, I know she paid me $172,000. Actually, she paid me $176,000. She prepaid her $4,000 retainer for January and December, I think, because she wanted to write it off her taxes. But when we first started working together, she was making $50,000 a month. Here we are at halfway through January, and she's at $200,000 for the month already, and that's very typical for her. So I mean, her paying me $176,000 was like the best money she ever spent. But this next year, she'll probably end up paying me $300,000 to $400,000 at least, because we actually just started a $125,000 a year program that we're going to be selling people into. We had a conference call earlier today. We're putting together another one of these 6-week type programs for yet another niche within her market that we're going to go after. And so, I mean, that's another way that people can use it, is look at your clients, and if you've got a good revenue share with them, can you put together one of these type of programs in their industries and in their niche, and again, create more income for yourself and more income for your client?
Okay, well, that's quite a bit of money from one client. So this is something that has a real potential. Well, like I said before, we have a program coming up February 1, 2, and 3. It's a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It'll be a half a day on Friday. So if you come, you make sure you get a flight out of here on Friday afternoon. It's in Phoenix at the DoubleTree Hotel, which we normally use. The price on this is $2,000 to give you the entire process. Then what's happening after that, we're going to create a special group just for the people who attend. Nobody else is going to come in because we're going to be continuing to give you additional information that will help you take your business to a whole other level that we're not going to let the other people who don't join this have access to. You'll have also access to a special Voxer group like what we just mentioned. So anytime you have a question, you just hit that button and record it, and it comes directly to Pete or me, and we'll answer your question right then. And so, I mean, tonight, Pete hits me. I'm at dinner with my wife on Friday night. He hits me with a Voxer thing, and I'm there. That's how this works. So you're going to have 24/7 access to us. I hate to even say that. Pete hasn't agreed to that, but that's what's going to happen. So I want to make sure that you get everything you need, because right now I'm telling you, this market for our consulting services is hotter than it's ever been before. With Trump doing what he's doing, bringing jobs back and talking about the economy, there's more excitement. We've seen more excitement right now in the marketplace than we've seen in a long time. When we have a depression or a recession, things are good because businesses need help. But things are kind of tough because businesses are kind of hanging on to the money. Right now, they're starting to spring for a little bit higher fees, and they're more easy to work with. So if you're interested in doing this, here's what you do. If you're interested in jumping on right now, and you know you are, and by the way, I hope you understand, I don't sell any of our program. I just explain that here's what we have, and you either say, yes, I like it, I'm going to do it, or you say, no, I'm not, and either way, it's okay with me. It doesn't matter to me whether you join or not. I just want to make sure that if you are interested, we make this available to you, and believe me, we'll go out of our way to make it worth your while. If you're interested and you want to do this now, here's what you do. The payment address is paypal.me, paypal.me/Martin Howey, Howey, /2000, just number 2000. That gets you in, that gets you reserved, your spot reserved. Then we will send you the information to make your reservations. Now look, it's coming up very quickly. It's just in a couple of weeks. We only have room for less than 10 people. Maybe if we stretch it, we can get 10 people, but that's it. There's no more than that. And if you want more information, you want to talk about it, that's fine. We'll be happy to do that. And what you do there is just go to speakwithmartin.com. speakwithmartin.com, and that will take you to my online calendar. You can select a time that works for you, and you can reserve a time, and then I will call you back. Now, if you do that, that's fine, but if the seats are taken before you have your call, I'll still talk to you, but you won't be able to get in because the seats are taken. We can only take them on a first-come, first-served basis. Like I said, I don't want to sell this. I just want to tell you what we have, and then if you're interested, great. You know how I work. I don't sell anything. I just say, here's what we have. So with that, Pete, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Go fight, win.
Go fight, win. Listen, thank you very much, guys. I apologize for having to put everybody on mute today, but like I said, we just barely kept this to an hour. And so, like Pete said earlier, if we had to take questions and that, we just wouldn't be able to get in all that we had to say. We barely squeezed it in. So, again, that's paypal.me /Martin Howey /2000 or speakwithmartin.com. All right, so thank you very much for being here, and I hope to be speaking with you and love to see you at the program. I can guarantee you we're going to make it worth your while. This is, as I mentioned in the video that I sent out, I've never been more excited about anything that we've done in the last several years other than this, because I see such a potential, and we have some other people doing this, and it's just killer. So thanks again for being here. Pete, thank you so much for being on with us. Really appreciate it.
No problem, Martin. I'll look forward to seeing all you guys in February.
Okay. Thanks, Pete.